Hello everybody, my name is Eric Mullins, and today we're going to be checking out Kotobukiya's Bishoujo lines, X-Men's Mystique. She is a 1/7 classic figure. Classic. Yeah. She was released back in 2011, so she was really part of like the second run of Marvel Kotobukiya figures. I'm actually surprised at how well she's held up over the years, but let's get a closer look at her just to be sure. First things first, you might notice that I don't have her on the base. So, the base that she comes with is like, it's atrocious. Atrocious. I think it might be my least favorite base of all time. Like, of all the figures, I even got a couple of prize figures here and there that have just like hideous bases, and this is not a nice base. Subjectively for me. Before I get started, that's better. So she's not currently on her base, as you can see here. That's because I used it back when I was younger and glued it under Ms. Marvel's base right here. Why would I do that? Because I didn't really have a concept of how some things could be valuable in the future. That's not true. I had tons of things I took super good care of. The reason I did it here is because I knew I was going to keep these figures. I mean, at the time, I told myself I was going to. And Ms. Marvel's base, unfortunately, is made from a type of plastic that really bends and bevels over the years, so she just couldn't stand up. She kept falling over. The dynamic pose didn't really help either with that, but that's for another episode. So the base Mystique comes with is a clear, transparent, circular one. It's completely useless and boring and did not need to even exist, in my opinion. You can tell from looking underneath that she actually pegs into the base with these two little pegs, and they're located underneath her dress. They don't go in super well, which is another annoyance, but that aside, she doesn't need it. She's a figure that really doesn't take up a lot of space, and having a base just really took up more than I would have liked, especially considering the base was so hideous. And it's not to say that the bases were much nicer before this. Like, what is this? What is this base? For a potential future review on Old School Rogue? That's what it's for. Starting with her boots, they go up to the thighs, and they look awesome. Soles of her boots are painted black, and we actually get a little bit of black paint at the end of her heel. This is amazing. I don't always see this on figures. I would say that heels usually just kind of get ignored at the bottom there. So, it looks like she's got some traction for when she needs to run and climb mountains and literally do all the stuff she does. Then again, are the clothes actually there, or is she just making it look like she's wearing clothes? She's a shapeshifter, so, a lot of this stuff can be taken with a grain of salt. We get a nice little line that cuts off where the sole is, that then goes into the boot, which is pearlized and fantastic. We get all sorts of stretches in the fabric. They look beautiful, very well done. They use colder airbrush colors here, so that way it kind of matches up a bit more with their skin and the overall design of the character. I feel like there might be a little too much on the boot here, but they don't look bad. It kind of just feels like the artwork you'd find to a comic book and how they put tons of little lines here and there. Honestly, it's nice. On the inside of the boots, you have this super cute little zipper area where, this would have been nice if it was a little more three-dimensional, not as molded in. The painting is a little sloppy on it, but it's, one, you're not going to notice it, and two, with the price point of this figure and the year that she came out, it's very forgivable. Her thighs bevel out from her boots as if to say her boots are quite tight, which is interesting considering she shape-shifted them to be like that. Oh, Mystique, you're just so spicy. Her skin tone is lovely. I do like the light blue. Personally, I would have preferred it to be darker, so it kind of feels more like the comics. Anime and manga, they're always lightening up colors, especially when it comes to skin tones. So, the lighter blue, it kind of works well for their anime figure concept. Despite her thighs here being very well sculpted, unfortunately, we do have some mold lines. This is an old figure, and we even have like a couple of paint mishaps and blemishes here and there. But I still think it looks good, it's just not perfect. I wonder what it would be like if they remade this exact figure, same pose and everything, but with today's technologies. She then is wearing this spandex leotard suit thing that, I'm saying it's spandex, it looks like it's some sort of wild, crazy, lustrous material. Starting from the neck, it's thick. It's really thick, but it's so well pronounced and defined on her body. I really enjoy it, especially that collarbone. It looks gorgeous. As we then get down into her chest, which is also very well defined. I think it's cool that we get all these little lines here and there to kind of give this costume more of a superhero vibe rather than just being a solid piece of material on her body. Her ribcage is incredibly sharp, and even the way her stomach comes out and we get the line for where her belly button is, it's all really pronounced. Yet with the way that the shading is done and the highlights and the pearl, it looks really good. It's got that crazy comic book feel to it, mixed with anime. It's just a really well-conceived mashup. Along the back, we get this sharp cut in her back where it seems to come outwards afterwards for her behind. And all the stretching on the fabric here is very well done. I love how it's pulling in one direction, so expertly done. And the shading really, again, makes it almost looks like it's drawn lines across, like a comic book. It's very cool. Where then goes into this clearly obvious connection piece, which flows down into this skirt part. Connection piece could be an eyesore if it weren't for the fact that it's easily covered by her skull belt. And they do it on the front of her as well, leading you to believe that this is a design choice that she chose to have. Or create? I mean, it's all part of her, right? Little dress pieces aside, this is a bodysuit. It goes all the way underneath. And, you know, they put some okay detail in there. I could see that they kind of wanted to put some lining for the clothing, but they didn't do a really good job under here. The sculpt work, however, for the legs is immaculate. It's very well done, surprisingly so. You could tell that the sculptor really wanted to put a little extra love into this character. Oh my gosh. The dress pieces are flowy, very beautiful. The front one really comes down nicely. I loved how defined it is. It's really well sculpted. I find that the back one is a little less near the top. I know what they were trying to do. They wanted to kind of follow the curves of her behind, but it's done okay. It's not amazing, it's not bad, it's just like okay. Then when the material comes down, I feel like it should have cut maybe a little bit more along the ground, but it's not bad, it still looks pretty good. My one issue I'd say for this figure is honestly the mold lines. We get a bunch of them on her where you can clearly see that, oh, look at this line here, that line there, from when they pulled it out of the factory mold piece and then started gluing it all together. It's just a bit of a disappointment, but again, this is an old figure, and so, you know, a lot of those older figures have that. Her sculpt, very cool. I like the sculpt work. I think the paint job works, and it's not actually attached to her body. This little flimsy thing right here that can move around and go any way you want it. You know, sometimes, I know some people like that. I personally am not a fan. Because of this, it's not form-fitting her properly like a belt that should be tight on her body should. And if you look along the front or even different parts of her, you get these gaps, and it just, I don't know, I feel like it really should have felt like it was more on her. You could have put it a bit more on an angle or something like that. This was just a cheaper way to do it. However, I'm not going to knock them for doing this. I'll talk about why near the end of the video. Her shoulders are bare, and you can see that her skin is beveled out here around her white suit, so clearly it's a pretty tight suit. I think it's okay done, not bad, not good, really just in the middle. The sculpt work on this is only alright. I feel like they should have defined her armpits and maybe her like rib cage underneath a little bit better. But the mold, again, unfortunately doesn't give justice to a lot of this figure because we actually have a couple of mold lines here, and there's a lot of areas that aren't necessarily smoothed out. They kind of seem a little rigid here or there, and again, that just has to do with the mold. Her left hand is gloved and going under her hair. It looks alright. I do like the fabric stretches on here. It looks cool. But because they made her hair somewhat transparent, it's weird that they didn't actually make her hand. It just kind of disappears into her hair. It doesn't look terrible. Her hair is still a little bit opaque, but like, Her right hand and glove is very well sculpted as well. She just has like little round hands, fingers. It's just, I think it's kind of cute as she sports this little cute Uzi that she could just shoot up all her enemies with. Mystique is great. This gun fits her very well, and you know, she's always using different types of weaponry and stuff like that because what else does she have to defend herself with? Her ability is literally shape-shifting, and though she could probably make her arm look like a machine gun, it's not going to shoot bullets. Just like if she makes herself have Wolverine claws, they're not made out of adamantium. So the Uzi is an excellent touch. And it's very well sculpted. One thing I will mention is that while all of her design is very cartoony, colorful, blues, and cute, this Uzi is very bolter gun, metal gray. It's very realistic. And I almost wouldn't say it fits with her super well. I might have made the colors just pop a little bit more, but this is a personal choice. I mean, some of you might like the realistic gun. It is very well done. As for her head, it plugs into her neck, as most heads do. But her neck is so incredibly thick, it's ridiculous. This is supposed to be like a thin, form-fitting costume, and that neck just looks like, oh my gosh, I don't know, layers of neoprene or something. It's really thick, and it's glued in there. I'm not going to say it's bad, it's just maybe her head could have been like 8 or 9% larger. It would have just felt a little more anime-ish, and it would have fit with her neck a bit better. As it stands, her actual face is very soft, very smooth, and incredibly rounded for something that's got points on it. I think it's really cute. She has beautiful lipstick application. It just gradients in there, it's pearlized, it's really, really nice. Where behind those luscious lips, she is barring those teeth. Almost feels like maybe she just bested someone in a fight. She has cute painted on eyebrows. Maybe it's with decals, much like the eyes. The eyes are a bit of a point of contention for me. From a distance, I don't mind them. I think they look really nice. But she has like the pupil iris thing going on, and personally, I like my Mystique with none of that, just creepy yellowed out eyes. It always made her feel more inhuman. And as a fan of Monster Girls, I love that. So we're not getting that here with this figure. I guess it's a little more like the Mystique from the live action X-Men films. It's not bad, it's just different. And they're very well done regardless. She's looking down for some reason, but I guess with the whole pose that she has going on here, it almost looks like after her hardcore fight, she's bested somebody, and now at this point, maybe she's feeling a little frisky, or she just wants to impose her dominance on whoever it is she just beat up. Maybe brag about it. Seems like something the Brotherhood of Mutants would do. Then again, everything I just said that she might do would all be in order to manipulate whoever she really wants to manipulate. I mean, shape-shifting isn't her only power. Manipulation all day, every day. Mystique's good at it. She has this cute little skull head at the top. I don't know if I would have liked to see that be in yellow or gold, like something to pop a little bit, much like in the comics, but it is a callback on the skulls for her bandolier, so I'm not going to knock it too much. This is like a personal preference. Her hair is... okay, here we go, talking about the hair. The sculpt is alright. It's sectioned off into quite a few pieces, but you're not going to notice it too much due to the type of plastic that they're using. The gradient is very well done. I like how it's really opaque at the top, but I'm just personally not a fan of that. As somebody that loves to draw and color and all of that, I like when my figures look like the comic book characters or manga anime characters are supposed to represent. And when you're watching these shows or reading their comics, their hair is not becoming transparent. It's actually just changing in color to highlights or things like that, and I love this. I understand the concept of making it transparent, makes it kind of give off that vibe that you're getting strands near the end of your hair and it's tapering off, so it's becoming less noticeable. That's okay. It's very, I don't know, like using a trick to make it feel kind of realistic to an extent, and I'm just not personally a fan of it. But on her hair here, it doesn't frustrate me too much. However, you do have a couple of mold lines here and there, and seams from the mold being created again that, like, it's not necessarily how they plugged them together. It's literally like lines going across certain parts where you're just like, oh my gosh, you know, it just feels a little cheap. Upon her release, she was 6,200 yen. This is like back in 2011. Even when she came out, that's pretty great. And, you know, it's an enticing figure. Back then, they were just starting to make all these sweet Marvel figures, and Koto has a license to so many characters. It's awesome. So based off of what you're getting for that kind of price, I definitely think she's worth it. Not to mention, her pose is amazing. This is cool because it doesn't take up a lot of space, providing you take her off that base. And I love how she's short, because this way, you can put other figures behind her and everything's still really visible, especially in a detolf when you're walking around or sitting in different spots. So having some figures in your collection doing lower poses to the ground is pretty useful. At least for people that collect outside their means of space. That's none of us, right? I would never. Hopefully this video today helped you decide whether you're still on the fence or not with this figure. I definitely think she has a place in a lot of people's collections, though due to being quite dated, it wouldn't surprise me if collectors getting her are just ones trying to finish off that collection of a series or a set, or maybe you're such a Mystique fan and you just need it and want it all. I'd love to see them come out with a couple of other Mystique stuff. I'm crossing my fingers a company like Mondo Toys does a Mystique, because I'd be all over that, even though it's not anime. They make such cartoon accurate stuff to that 92 cartoon that I just I love it. If you like my video just a little bit, it doesn't cost much to unstoppably juggernaut that like.
Quick speed that cursor and subscribe.
And crush that notification bell. It goes such a long way to helping support my channel, and I really love and appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I got these fancy new headphones because hopefully this speaker on them is going to be a little bit better than me shouting at my phone and just trying to project that voice. So it's possible that this video will be maybe a little loud here and there because I'm still used to yelling at phones and cameras and stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully everything will be good and it won't be too hardcore. I'm going to have to learn to just calm my voice down a little bit. Look at me with all my X-Men gear and these headphones. I feel like I'd work at the X-Mansion as like a traffic control mutant. Like, I can sense when mutants are coming and going, but only when they're flying, and I can even tell exactly what heights they're at and all of that, so I'd be like, yeah, Rogue, you can come in through that door, just watch out for Angel, he's coming at this velocity and at this height, and also, you have to be careful because the Blackbird should be coming in the next 5 to 6 minutes, so be sure to stay clear of that area. And every now and then when the Brotherhood of Mutant would show up, because, you know, that mansion always gets hacked up. They would find me, and I wouldn't tell them a dang thing. So they'd beat me up, and then they'd tie me up, probably throw me in some, like, supply closet, and then the whole adventure would happen, and then at the end, they'd all come back, and they'd find me, and I'd be like, Oh, Aircraft Eric, which would be my mutant name. It's terrible, I know, but I just thought of it right now, immediately on the spot. So, I mean, give me a break, okay? Oh, stupid. Unless there's actually an air traffic control mutant and I've just insulted them. I'd like to apologize for saying that my Aircraft Eric idea was stupid. I in no way meant to harm, offend anybody whatsoever based off of that. I was implying myself being stupid for inventing a character that can just understand elevations and stuff of mutants. So stupid.